Okay, let's start. Okay, so on behalf of ICAF, I welcome all the members for this talk series. Uh, just to kind of brief all of you that we have been doing this since the inception of ICAF, where we invite uh, one artist who present their work and talk about their practice. So as the and it's been going on since 2023. Sorry, 2022. And um, for this today's talk, we have Madhvi Subrahmaniam. Welcome, Madhvi. Uh,
Thank
Basically, what I would like to talk about Madhvi is uh, that she basically shuttles between Bombay and Singapore and works with a gallery called Chemould Prescott Road since 2004. She's also the founding member and co-curator of Indian Ceramic Triennale and is associated with various international organizations such as UNESCO affiliated IAC, Sculpture Society of Singapore. Uh, she was She's also on the advisory board of Humpy Art Labs in India. Her practice has been informed by transitions of her peripatetic life, where she globetrots everywhere. Uh, you see her everywhere in the world. The opportunities are challenge of her constant relocation. She investigates different aspects of her life through her work, exploring the intersection between personal and collective memories. The rhythm of repetition is the cornerstone of Madhvi's practice, and her installations are often made up of multiple that tends to be immersive and experimental. Uh, Madhvi has been invited to several biennales and triennales. Among them are IOTA 2021, Perth, Australia, Gyeonggi International Ceramic Biennale in 2019, Korea, Indian Ceramic Triennale in 2018, Jaipur, and many more other places. Um, One of her most iconic work, which is my favorite also, that is the time that she spent at Hunter College in New York, where she did an installation called Walk uh, and Chew Gum. And we have actually uh, carried her diary from that experience during the pandemic, uh, which is a beautiful project, which you can actually find in the MRID number one, issue number one, the first issue. So check it out. And I welcome Madhvi Ben. Now I won't take more time. Please welcome her and let's start the presentation.
thank you, Kanjan.
Over to you.
Hope I'm audible. If at any point I'm not, please let me know. Anyways, thank you so much, Kanjan, for the introduction, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to make a presentation on my work to your audience. I'll start a little bit about myself. Wait, if I can figure out how to do this. Okay. I'm from Mumbai and I've lived in various places and but I carry for me, I carry this city in this hustle bustle of the city in my heart. And wherever I go, this is where I have the sense of home and belonging. I have drawn a lot of inspiration from this city as I continue to go through my journey. My ceramic painting started with bridge pottery, where I learned about clay and the material from the inside out. We made our clay body, which is a coming together of several clays. We built kilns, we made our own glazes, and so it was really understanding of the material from the inside out. I then did my master's, my MFA from the Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. I now live between Mumbai and Singapore, going between these two geographies, this constant movement between places has become central to how I think about identity, memory, and belonging. And it has shaped my practice in more ways than one. I think of my practice today more like a diary, a way of reflecting on the world around me. It allows me to reflect not only on the physical spaces and places, but also on my mental and emotional state of being. Through these personal explorations, I hope I'm able to touch upon wider and more universal questions. Today, I won't be speaking about my work chronologically. Instead, I want to share about it through a kind of mapping of my journey and thought process. The word mapping is important to me. I use it not only as in a geographical sense, but also in the way of understanding my relationship to my body, to my place, to my memory, and to the traces that we leave behind that through this world. The broad themes that I'll be touching upon are mapping my relationship with my body and process, mapping journeys, identity, and belonging, and mapping personal and collective memories. Through these themes, I seek to articulate how place and space, physical and emotional and spiritual, have shaped me and guided me through my practice. So, with that, I'll start with mapping my relationship with my body. I'll start with the body first. For me, it's the body and perhaps is the first language where I began mapping through clay. When I entered motherhood, my body swelled up like a vessel and became a firm, full, and complete container. It was the first time I understood in a visceral way the term clay body, which we clay artists and potters are so familiar with. It was then that I recognized the connection between clay and the body and between the pot and the figure. So completely, it was no wonder that we refer to parts of of the pot through our own body, the lip, the belly, and the foot. I made a mold of my pregnant belly, as you saw in the last picture, and I made a whole series of forms about this fullness, becoming a. But before that, I also made these fertility jars or these receptacles that I call fertility jars. I was looking at fertility forms and jars from ancient history and the mother goddess from Indian history. The belly from the belly mold, I made these works that resulted in installation, as well as I expanded them into exploring relationship between my body and nature. This is an outdoor installation that was up in Singapore for a temporary period in a public garden for about 3 months. Now, mapping my relationship with my material and process. While motherhood made me think deeply about the body as a vessel, returning to the studio brought me back to the physical act of making itself. The next body of work maps my relationship with clay through process, repetition, and gesture.
Madhvi, you're not audible.
Uh,
What happened?
yeah,
Is
now you're back. You were not
now I'm back?
audible at some point. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me continue. The next body of work maps my relationship with clay through process, repetition, and gesture. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Ah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
The spiral has been fundamental to my process, from spiral wedging to building with coils. This is an ongoing series of work where I explore the infinite ways of expressing and understanding a symbol that is found across cultures and throughout nature. It appears in our DNA, in images of water, cloud, growth, and any growth pattern. What interests me about this form itself is not what it represents, is not only but what it represents, not only its form, but what it represents continuous movement, expansion, and transformation. I use a cone, which is in itself is a spiral. In the mathematical sense, it's called a concho spiral, a spiral on a spiral base. The body of work also emerges from my desire for the work to be mobile and modular, to travel in a small box and expand in a new location. In many ways, it reflects my own experience of moving between geographies and adapting to various and at different places. Working with multiples and repetition has become a cornerstone of my practice, evolving directly from this experience of traversing between worlds. Talking about repetition and multiples, I would like to share the short film on the work Forest of Shadows, which was shown in Jaipur. Forest of Shadows was created for the first iteration of the Indian Ceramic Triennale Breaking Ground held at the Jawahar Kala Kendra in Jaipur in 2018. Drawing on my previous work, I was interested in continuing the exploration of the relationship of nature with urban culture. Shadows captivate my imagination. I've been interested in using shadows to express ideas beyond the immediate. Shadows give a static object movement, exaggerating, distorting, and enhancing them as they lengthen and shorten with the light. In Forest of Shadows, the shape shifting shadow displaces the object. Here, the shadow becomes the object, and the object becomes the shadow. The displacement and reversal speaks of temporality and transience in nature and in life itself. The windows aligned on the side walls attempt to capture the dialogue between nature and the built environment. Forest of Shadows was re-shown at the exhibition From Lost Roots to Urban Meadows at the Private Museum in Singapore in 2019. So, the next section I'll come to is mapping a search of identity and belonging. As my life became increasingly shaped by movement between places, I found myself turning towards mapping, not only as an image, but a way of understanding where I belonged. The Mappa Mundi series physically maps my world in search for a place and belonging. The title Mappa Mundi, as well as the works, are derived from the 16th century medieval maps, where the maps were round and they were inaccurate. Both these things were what I was interested in. They were mapping, and in the 16th century, they were mapping their world, and they called it the map of the world. So that's how the title Mappa Mundi comes through. These are actual places from my memory. I believe we actually have only three maps that are engraved in our head as we go from home to work or from home to grocery store. We don't really need to think about it. We know these roads. We don't need a Google map to look at it. These are therefore works where I explore my physical world, seeking my sense of belonging and identity. I'd like to add that I love the way maps look for their lines and their paths and for their patterns for the patterns that they form. Personally, I have a very poor sense of direction and I often get my right from my left mixed up. If Mappa Mundi finds its place in memory, the next work expands the idea outward and considers movement across a larger network of connections. Bird's eye view. This large scale public artwork was created for the Bangalore Airport. This work is 40 feet by 20 feet. Each panel is 40 feet by 20 feet. These are layouts of actual airports that Bangalore Airport flies to and directly around the world. From Bangalore to all these airports directly around the world. So the work is titled Bird's Eye View as it expresses a world without borders. I was drawn to these airport layouts as forms as I sit at the window in a plane and love to see the works from a bird's vantage point. Looking at the layout of these airports and of each of them, they look like creatures, and some evoked machines and with their grooves and their tentacles, which are the actual aero bridges. But as an indicator of what these forms might be, I have a little geolocations that are very faint that you see only when you get close up, and they kind of indicate how what exactly these creature like forms are. And it's very interesting to see how many people actually Google these geolocations. I have a little video that shows the behind the scenes work of this work. Now I get into the mapping personal and collective memories. While these projects explored the movement across space, another strand of my practice questions of memory, residue, and cultural inheritance. These are works that I did in Fuping in China, where I went for a residency, and the residency was developing work for an Indian ceramic museum there. This residency space was attached to a brick factory, and I was very intrigued by the fact that these bricks um, were being made 24/7 in a constant, continuous production of bricks in clay and firing through a and the firing went through a conveyor belt. I just want to check. Can you hear me? Is everything okay? I don't
Yes.
see
Yeah.
anybody in there. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. It'd be good if one of you was had a screen over there, so I knew that I wasn't talking to nobody. Anyways, so
There
I was.
you
Thank you.
go.
You, Kanchan. I was in, so I was the residency space was attached to a brick factory, and I was intrigued by the fact that these bricks were being made 24/7, and it was a constant, continuous production of clay, and the bricks were going through a firing conveyor belt in the kiln system. I was intrigued by this, and the bricks the I took the bricks and the bricks became both my inspiration and my material. I deconstructed the bricks and cut them and sliced them like bread and then reconstructed them to make organic lingamesque forms. I was thinking about the fast disappearing road shrines in India, of gods and goddesses under trees and along roadsides, and almost anything is anointed and made into a shrine like these beautiful bricks. I was wondering about the continuous construction in India and in China, and thinking about what we were leaving behind when we were losing in what we were losing in the name of development. The next project that I'd like to talk about, continuing on my thought on memory and residue, is my residency at Hunter College in New York City. This was around 2020, and I was looking at the grid. I was studying the city grid. I was walking it. I was considering the grid. I had this a little form that I called my alter ego to explore the whole city from borough to borough, and I kept placing it on the street and as if taking a selfie with it, claiming that I was here. What I hadn't seen at that time, and I realized suddenly that the streets were filled with chewing gum marks. This made me think about residue, about what people leave behind, about the mark and making and markings of space. I thought about this lady who comes into every presentation I ever make since the picture I took of her in 2009. She's drawing a column. A column is a rice flour drawing that is done on the threshold of the foyer of a home every day at dawn or at a liminal time between day and night, done to welcome a new day. She does not have a foyer, perhaps, and therefore she takes onto the street to see the divider. You can see the divider lines of the street behind her. I was really struck by the way she was so unself conscious of what she was doing, her devotion, her need to welcome the new day, to welcome guests into her home. She was cleaning this part of the street every day and making this column, knowing fully well that in a few hours it would be erased by the passing through of the auto rickshaws. What draws me to the column is the philosophical concept and aspect of space where it is made, the liminal space. It's neither in nor out. It's at the threshold being made during a liminal time, neither day nor night, but at an hour that is moving from darkness to light. This became an important turning in 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 my um, in my practice. I was already interested in mapping the city grid and moving through the urban space, but what unexpected catch my attention were the marks, scattered across the pavement.
May I
These
interrupt
small residues.
one moment and ask you what is it that you are using to draw the connections? What material was that
uh,
you were using?
I'm using I'm using rice flour and clay.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
mixture of rice flour and clay. The exactly same thing that you use for kolam.
Okay.
Um, anyways, okay. So I start. Where was I? I was okay. So I was interested in mapping the city grid and moving through urban space. But what unexpectedly captured my attention were the chewing gum scattered across the pavement. These small residues made me think about presence, memory, and mark making. I started highlighting the gum marks, putting my cultural code over another cultural code of New York, and have a conversation between the mapping lines around these residues that people have left behind and connect with those that have passed the same space before me. So eventually, I made it. Eventually I did a few paver points every day over a period of 2 or 3 weeks, and I kind of covered most of the block. It was situated between 61st and 62nd Street, between 1st and 2nd Avenue. I started doing this work during COVID. It was 2020. New York was declared the epicenter of COVID. My solo show at Hunter College, Walk and Chew Gum, where I had done a residency, abruptly ended. I was very disappointed and dejected, to say the least. I took to the street and started using the city as my studio and the pavement as my sketchbook. I really felt like I was offering these so-called column mappings to the essential workers that were walking this path from the hospital every day. It was a thoroughfare for them. Then a curator from Singapore wanted this done in Singapore. Now, the whole idea and the reason I noticed the gum marks was that gum is banned in Singapore. And a lot of people don't know this, but I thought it was interesting that I noticed the gum marks because of the ban in Singapore. And then I came full circle to Singapore with making these marks. But of course, there were no gum marks. But I noticed that we always leave a residue behind, and obviously, that there were lots and lots of residue that I could draw around. And then I also was invited to do something at the bus stop. Now, the bus stop for me epitomizes that liminal space that I talked about. It's a space where we wait in anticipation for the bus. It's neither a journey nor a destination. It is a holding space. So, what better space than to combine both my thoughts of mapping and column? This is how this work came about. The interest in mapping and trace and temporary present continued in my work that I did at Minnesota, at Minneapolis, where I was part of a show, and I did again use the mapping lines and the column concept in there. And here the shadows and the lights intermingled with my windows on the wall and my installation. Through these So here's some of the images. So throughout all these projects, I found myself returning to one recurring idea: clay as an archive. Clay remembers. Clay records touch, clay records labor, clay records history, and clay records time. I'd like to share this short film on a work that I did in Singapore, and this work is at a museum in Singapore right now. Ode to the Unknown was commissioned by the Indian Heritage Center in Singapore and is now part of the museum's permanent collection. The inspiration for this work comes from the often overlooked rubber tapping cup in the museum's collection. To me, the humble cup alludes to the inadvertent cross cultural dialogue between the Chinese and the Indian indentured workers and speaks of colonization, labor movement, and labor politics. In colonial 1900, Singapore's rainforest was decimated to make way for the rubber plantations. Its rich clay soil facilitated the production of ceramic roof tiles, pipes, and rubber tapping cups that were fired in the dragon kilns across the island. The Chinese indentured laborers brought ceramic technology with them and made the cups, while the Indian laborers used the cup to collect latex from the trees. My studio in Singapore is located at the home of one of the last remaining dragon kilns where these cups were originally produced. For this installation, I reinterpreted the cup, making 1008 polychrome ones in a similar laborious repetitive rhythm as my predecessors did in the same location. I used the clay from the ground near my studio to make slips. Each cup was thrown, slipped, painted with a spiral that was inspired by the spiral cut on the rubber trees to draw the latex. In the installation, the cups fill the room and are set in rings and installed in the rhythm of a rubber plantation. In the midst of the cup, small family size archival photographs of laborers shine the spotlight on them. The installation pays homage to the unknown maker, an anonymous user of the rubber dabbing cup. So, the next work that I'd like to talk about, continuing this thought of clay as the ultimate archiver, it holds stories and its forms whispers these stories to the next generation. So now, looking at the same kiln that I talked about in this film, this work looks at the interior of the kiln. I was interested in the stories that the kiln had to speak about and tell me about my predecessors this and use this kiln and find it a million times. I started having a dialogue with the interior of this space, using clay to fill all the cracks in between and try and extract some of these stories, the residue and the memory of labor in this kiln. The resulting work is called A Letter from the Past. Installed in the format of the letter, it was also very interesting to see how many people actually tried to read this letter. The last work I'd like to talk about is called Pandemic Pills. This was made in 2021 for a show in Singapore. In 2020, I was affected by a personal life-changing experience and realized I was going through the 7 stages of grief from disbelief to joy, uh, and disbelief to joy. And soon after that, the world was gripped with COVID, and that I recognized that everyone all over the world was gripped with this different stages of grief. Never before had the whole world experienced the same emotion at the same time. This is when I made this work referring to the quick fix we were looking for in the for COVID, and each of these pills are engraved with some of those emotions that I heard from people talk about throughout the world and through all the Zoom calls that we were having. But these words get revealed from these larger than life pills. They're engraved on them backwards and they get revealed only when they're rolled in the bed of sand. Hence, it's a participatory work where the audience needs to be part of it and complete the work. It's not complete till the participant pulls it on their own to discover for them what the emotion is that they might have experienced during COVID.
You're
The
not
emotion I
audible.
found people lingered on. Not audible?
No,
Oh,
no,
what will
it's
happen?
breaking, but it's fine. I think it's okay. Continue, please. Mm.
Okay, sorry. Anyways, I'm almost done. The emotion I found that people lingered around was that I would gratitude all for bearing issues and listening to my talk about my practice. So thank you very much.
Well,
The,
thank you very much. We have lots of things in the chat.
lots of time.
We have
Oh,
some time. Yeah, lots of time also, but we we
okay.
does anybody have questions? Please ask questions. Most welcome to ask questions. Uh, Mic's on, so please go on. Uh, People, well,
Anything
Hi,
that
Madhvi.
you connected with or not connect
yeah,
with? Hi, who's
somebody
that?
has, yes.
This is Tejashree. Just wanted to know when
Hi,
you were doing
Tejasvi.
mapping on the sidewalk. Did you have to take
Yes.
permission and everything? And was it easy?
No, I didn't take any permission, and I was very scared to do this because I come from Singapore and I'm scared that somebody could come and arrest me. So I told my neighbor, uh, and the city emptied out. It was COVID, so the city was completely empty. So I told my daughter, she's a real New Yorker, I said, very you have to come with me. I don't want to get arrested or anybody to shout at me or anything. Says, oh, don't worry, this is New York. Nobody cares about what you do. Just do it. And so she gave me a lot of courage, and I started.
Madhvi got locked out. Just
Yeah, she got locked
Yeah.
out. Just wait. She'll come back on. I think so.
Okay.
People do ask questions if you have. Uh,
So yeah, no, it was quite wonderful actually, that sidewalk experience, because at first people, I mean, I would keep saying, oh, look, this is all ephemeral, it's all organic, it'll get washed out, thinking somebody's going to shout at me. And they would like, oh no, this is wonderful. You should do this all the time. You should have it permanently. So it was just a very wonderful experience actually. I don't think I can do it now, but it was possible then. Completely
Hi,
guerrilla
Madhvi.
style.
Hi, Madhvi.
Hi,
Niyati
who's
here.
that?
Niyati.
Hi, Niyati. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It would have been nice to see what your latest work is, since I have been collecting little bits of your work through the
Uh,
years. So, I mean, I don't know what you are doing now, and I'm sure lots of us want to know what's happening now.
Well, yeah, I am working on various things. Actually, one of the works I'm doing on is a public artwork for a subway station in Singapore. So that's going on right now. But the subway station won't open till 2027.
Mm-hmm.
But that work is almost ready. It's going to be going up pretty soon. I can't show it or talk about it till it goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I'm also set up a studio now in Mumbai, and I'm working on a body of work there, which is going to be a different body. I mean, it's kind of challenging myself to think about, change my direction slightly. So we'll see where that takes me. So I'm still exploring that. And then of course there's always little shows that keep happening here and there, which have my ongoing body of work happening. The Spiral series, the Window series, the so
Right,
those are ongoing, yeah.
right. That's lovely to know.
But hopefully I'll do a solo at some point. I haven't done one since 2017 in Bombay.
Wow, yes.
So
Looking forward.
yeah.
Hi, Madhavi. As usual, your work is stunning.
Manpreet is back.
Manpreet,
Yeah, yeah. Hi. So I wanted to ask you
thank
the
you.
installation that you did in Bangalore. Was it ceramic or was it metal?
Yes. No, no, it was not ceramic. It started off with the idea of me doing a ceramic installation, and then they had changed space. They basically started off with another space, and then they changed the space, and they gave me this amazing huge wall. And they said, well, what about this? Can you propose something for this one instead of the other space? And I thought, okay, I would love to do it, but I cannot do things at this in the for this scale on the wall. It's a little bit above my ability. So I wanted to it didn't make sense to do it in ceramic either. So I did it in metal and wood.
Hmm.
So it's not that clay, but it uses my clay sensibilities. It uses the way I would work with clay. I mean, I was thinking about slab. I was thinking about how I would cut a slab, how I would need the kind of elevation to that slab, the space. And it's all completely my clay language that was being put into work.
I do have a question, which is pertaining to the ideation part, which is uh,
Yeah.
in a sense that if there is no brief, how do you arrive at a certain
Mm.
ideation? Because your work also talks about a lot of conceptualism, and and that too
Mhm.
also reflecting in the medium of clay. And how do you combine this, and uh, how do you arrive at something that is substantial, I would say?
But I don't know how it arrived. I don't think anybody knows how they come up with any thought or idea, but everything comes from the self, everything right here where you are, where it is. So I think everything is reflection of yourself, your thinking, your space. So that's where it all starts from for me. That's why, I mean, I try to answer this question when I think about my spiral series or something. It really actually comes from the spiral wedging. I mean, it's like completely right there, right under all our noses. And that's where it comes from. So it's not anything that is out of the world, out of our world. Is really in the world that for me, it's in the world that I occupy.
One more thing is that if once the ideation is there, uh, then there's a process of doing something that will meet that ideation. Uh, the problem lies in the idea that you have conceived and the available things, that the processes that you are utilizing to do things. Uh, do you find it uh, difficult? Do you find it interesting or challenging? Or do you find it in terms of how will I achieve this goal? And um, because I see that you are one of those artists who does work by yourself. There are lots
Yes.
of artists who actually hire things. But one of, I mean, things that you do it. How do you go about, and then what is the kind of time frame that you take to develop all of these things? I think each one is a challenge, in my opinion.
Yeah, so no, I want to start off by talking about what you said. It's not an idea that I say, okay, now I'm going to do that. It's not like that. It's about process. Everything is just process. It's process that is informing me
Right.
where I'm going next. It's process that is telling me where I should go next. And along the way, there are many points of this process that is tossed out. I haven't shown you even one I haven't shown you anything of what I've tossed out. If you see the what you see in the end and you say, oh, but that is so simple, it's just a spiral and it's just these cones. What's the big deal? But to get to that were a million other things that came. And then when it is, and that's not even nothing is complete. Whichever point you are, I am at, I'm not complete. I'm still just looking. And so it may be that I just decided to stop at this and say, let me explore this a little bit more before I go on to the next strand. So I don't believe, I mean, for me, I don't start with an idea. I can't even actually, honestly, all this expression and articulation that you have heard has come after I have processed it. I have to digest it, I have to process it, I have to understand it. I have to know where it's coming from, why it's coming. Then I can tell you, then I can present and say, those MAPA actually looking for my own belonging, my own fact that I have been moving around so much that I don't know where I belong. Do I belong here? Do I belong there? And just that's what it is. So it's always coming from a reflection later, not from the starting, not for me.
Madhvi, so sorry, can I intervene? Just related to what you were just saying. So, are you saying that you develop a body of work
Yeah,
and then
who's that?
when the whole
Sorry.
this is Gitika. This
Please
this is
introduce yourself. Right.
Yeah, hi,
Thank you.
I'm
So I
Giti.
can't see anybody.
Okay, just
Yeah.
switch on my video.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see me now?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, now I can see
Hi,
you. Thank
hi
you.
everyone. So, what you were just saying, I want to know that do you start building something, and once you have probably reached a certain stage, and then the concept starts developing in your mind of why that
So
thing
it's
evolved?
like for me, yeah, I think it keeps evolving. It's like pulling a thread, from one and you go from one to the other to the other. It's like literally a thread that you're pulling. So each work informs me about another work, about another work. So although you might not see, you might see them as different bodies of work, there's a thread that is being pulled from one to the other. So there's nothing is in isolation, nothing is by itself, and it's something that comes from something. Nothing comes from nothing. It comes, so like Richard Serra's words, he says, you need to be working to make work. Work comes only from work. So
Yes.
something only comes from something. So it's only one step. Each one is just a step into another realm, and somewhere it takes you into something bigger, or like with the chewing gum marks. I was looking at something else, and then I saw something
Yeah.
else. So that's how it happened.
Can I
It
ask a
Yeah.
wasn't.
question? Madhvi, this
Yes.
is Ruby here.
Hi,
Hi,
Ruby. How are you?
good, good. How are you?
Very good.
So always
Thanks.
fascinated with your work. You talked about shadows, and I've
Yes.
always loved the way you've played with shadows.
Thank
So when you do the work, do you have somebody who is sort of guiding you and helping you with the lights? Do you install the work once before it comes to the gallery and see how the lights are falling? How do you go about the shadows
Yeah,
and
so
light bit?
it's the same process as the work, in the sense everything is a hit and miss, everything is trial and error. And
True.
I wish I had somebody. I would love to have that somebody. If you find somebody, please direct them to me. But no, I think the Forest of Shadows was the first one that I sort of explored the shadow as a material, light as a material. And it came about because I was looking at Singapore as a place of an urban space and nature, and the dialogue between urban and space and nature. And I was looking at it, and I was making other works that did not make my cut, and I was like, it's not happening, not happening. I'm not comfortable. And then I had made these little trees that were sitting on my shelf, and I picked them up and I put them on the wall, and and I took my mobile phone, put it underneath, and I said, what am I doing? This is where it is. So it is one of those weird things. I'm chasing
It
after
is
something
yeah.
else, and then something else shows its direction. And then from there, I worked my way back and saying, okay, if this was on the wall at this level, where would my light be? How far would my light be? Where would I place my light? What kind of shadows will I get? And with my spiral forms, I actually don't know where I'll get my shadows and how they will be, because that is a very hit and miss chance thing that happens. I can decide where lights are placed, but very often I don't have that luxury. Very often
Absolutely.
the lights are
Yeah.
set where they're set, and you work with what you work with. So
Yeah.
so it's not
Yeah.
as pre-planned as my thing, but it definitely is a material. Just as clay is a material, so is light. I haven't
Yeah.
exploited
I
it
get that.
enough,
Yeah.
that's for sure. I'm just beginning understanding.
It's very interesting how you've done it, and because galleries have their systems and there's certain points, and you really can't over move them around anywhere.
Correct,
So, but
correct.
managed to do. I've always enjoyed your shadows, and I know some
Oh,
of them are so focused. Yeah, yeah.
thank you.
Great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Madhvi, I just wanted to ask, I'm coming to Singapore on 21st June. would it be possible to connect with you? I would love to meet you and
Sure.
maybe.
Sure. Please reach out to me. I'm here till the 25th of June. Then I'm going off to China.
Okay. So I'll send you a message on your
Right.
Instagram.
Sure. Yeah, anything.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, most welcome. Everybody is most welcome to come and see my studio, which is quite wonderful, as you've seen on
Is
that
it,
film.
do you work in the pottery jungle in Singapore?
Yes.
Yeah. So every
Yes.
time I used to live in Singapore, but I keep visiting and I always like to go there every time I come.
How nice.
So I'll message you. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, folks. So, anybody else that has any questions, or we can conclude. Kshitija, please conclude. Requesting you to conclude.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. And